Hi there crafty pals, Louise with you today. Thank you so much for checking out this video. It is another of the 3 Old 3 New series. I've got this packet of words. I've got a bow bunny pattern paper that is new, a Charms creation. I've pulled some old 49er market pieces, some Flower Emporium and some older pattern papers as well. So when I am choosing the elements for this particular series, I'm thinking about a number of things. So I'm thinking about different fun techniques that might need like a revisit. I'm thinking about the photo that I've chosen, what particular elements I have on my desk at the time. It really is just an opportunity to go with whatever is currently inspiring me to create. And I really thought this pattern paper was quite pretty. It's a neutral, so it's got that darker background, but then on the other side it had this slightly different checkered grey lighter kind of pattern, so I felt it was a really good contrast. And when I purchased my latest lot of new supplies, I did get them from Craft Online because it was the only place I could find in Australia that was stocking the My Sweet Petunia glue gun. So that is the first time I've used it in this particular video, and I bought it because I use a lot of tacky glue, and having to, as you can see, shake and move it around and trying to get the glue to come out without it drying, getting it to stick can be quite a challenge. I live in Queensland. The humidity is absolute killer, so I find that my layouts just don't sort of stay stuck together longer term, and that's why I've taken to gluing everything down with tacky glue. So I wanted to just give you my thoughts on the glue gun. I really like the holder. I love that it has like a little rubber seal cap when you pop it into the little cradle. It seals off the end, it seals off the tip of the glue gun without you having to put the lid back on, so you can basically leave it there. In the instructions they have said, it might get a little seal of glue on the end, and you just peel that off and start fresh. Obviously long term, if I'm not going to use it for a while, I will pop the official lid back on, which has got the little needle that goes down the glue slot. And so I actually think this gun is going to come in quite handy. I think for sort of like big stick jobs, like when I glued the grey sheet to the white background, that's not the sort of thing I would essentially use it for long term. But all these little bits and pieces, I'm pulling through the Vicky Boot and ephemera. I have so much of this left, and it's just too pretty to leave. It really needs to be on layouts. There's a great mix of tags, there's florals, there's heaps of leaves, there's still plenty of words, there's little ephemera pieces that will slot fantastically into backgrounds. And so I didn't buy the glue gun for that particular brand of glue or for any reason. This is not a paid promo. I bought it off my own back, but I wanted to share its use with you. I think for anyone in Queensland, if you really want to adhere your layouts and you're using a lot of glue, whether it be tacky or craft glue or whatever you happen to be using, I think you'll find it quite valuable. I know definitely for little fiddly gluing, in my next video, which I've done already, I just have to voice over. In my next video, I'm definitely going to show you a little interesting take on what happened when I was doing some creating. So at this stage of the layout, basically, you can see that this is a really, really fun photo. Master Cooper decided that he was really going to enjoy every little piece of his what are they called? Potato tornado is what they're called. So he's biting every little piece on the stick, and I snapped a quick photo when we were out and about one day. So he's got this tie-dyed shirt. I don't know where he got it from, but it happens to be one of his favorite shirts, and it's really bright and colorful. So I'm just teaming that with some more of those brighter embellishments, but also blending it into that background so that photo is not being overwhelmed. I don't want too much bright color. It needs to have pops of colour, and I think the descriptive words, which is one of the new elements of this layout, works perfectly around that right hand side. I think like doodling and tracing borders and using pens is kind of a real go-to at the moment. I seem to be doing that quite a bit and having a lot of fun with pens, and this particular layout, I think you know, when I start these, I use just what I've grabbed to inspire me, and there's no real right or wrong. You know, I could have put this layout, sorry, this photo off to the side. I could have I could have done a whole bunch of things, but whatever I happen to have grabbed in this case, like you'll see, I audition a piece, whether it be the leaves. Do I want florals? Do I want more elements tucked into that background? You know, I get a lot of questions about layering and how it's supposed to happen, and honestly, this process of auditioning a piece can give you some really interesting thought processes. So you can see this little tag tucking it up in that top section, like it's just a little piece that pokes out, but it makes all the difference. It's just about building elements and tucking things in, and don't be afraid to tear something in half. You know, if it's going to be hidden beneath a layout, you know, you can see that a lot of what I'm putting on these embellishments, half that circular chipboard, you know, tucked in behind the layers, more frames and bits and pieces, hearts. It's all about just finding those elements that to work for the layout that you're creating and the way that you craft. But layering for me is, it's having different little bits and pieces poked out around my area of interest, which is always my photo. And that's what I want to sort of focus on, is drawing your eye to the photo and trying to get as much onto the layout without it overwhelming how visually appealing that layout is. So off camera, once I was happy with all the positioning of the cluster, and I do this often, I've talked about it in a number of videos about how I like to build my cluster before I add my mixed media. I then stuck everything down off camera so I knew what kind of mixed media I had to put into my background, and I didn't go in again with an idea to use mixed media, but it just kind of happened that way. And I really liked the idea of having like a splatter explosion of gold. So I didn't want to do splatters though. They make too much mess. I don't like cleaning them up. They're not uniform. That's just the little ASD elements of me. And so I decided to pull out this stencil. I knew that I had not necessarily a splatter stencil. I knew I had something in my stash that was going to work in that background. And so I just pulled out a few stencils and had a look. And the circular elements I felt worked really well on this doodled background. So adding some gold, again, adding just a little bit of messy gold. It happened to be left on the palette. And rather than clean it off, I just spread it around that circle. So you get that circular element, you get a little bit of gold. You've got this really cool cluster, lots of different mounting because we've got the grey, the white, the darker colour. There were lots of little bits and pieces left in the Vicky Bruton Floral Flower Emporium collection that I couldn't be bothered to put back in the bag. So they're going to be spread around the layout as well. All right, the only thing that's left to do is, of course, journaling, even if it's just a name and a year of when this photo was taken. I like to put that onto the layout in some form. So I'm going to add that journaling, just an ordinary old black pen, and that is my finished layout share for you today. This one was fun, so I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.